Right, shall we begin this mammoth journey? I've got a fancy new clicky thing. If I press a key, it turns up down here. So whatever keys I'm pressing, you can now see down here, which is awesome. I'll probably still say what I'm doing, but if I don't, then that's where the key presses will be. Excuse me. Right, before we get started, there's a few things we need to sort out. So in Edit, Preferences, we'll just run through everything that I have and that I use regularly. One of them is something called F2, which is that one. So tick that, Mesh, F2. If you haven't got images planes, you just type the word in here and it will come up. So import, export, import images planes. You're also going to want Node Wrangler, tick, and sapling tree gen. I think that's everything I use. So make sure all those are ticked, and then you can follow along lickety spit. Alright, okay, let's begin. I have a plane set as my default. I'm going to delete that. Start with Shift A, add a cube, and the measurements of this I believe are 2 meters square. There we go. So it's 2 by 2 by 2 meters, and I'm going to try and stick to scale this time as much as I can. So a house is probably 10, so I just clicked and dragged all those to put 10 in all of them. So that's probably house size, which is a good place to start with for the scale. And I think a good place to go is with the rings of the building, and I haven't loaded up the image that I did last time, and I'm going to do that so that I can see how many rings I had on it. Minas Tirith. Here we go. So that's the wall, so we'll include that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There may be more, but 5 is in this one, and that's what we're going to use, or I'm going to use as my reference. So 5. What you can do if you need references in the scene, which actually you probably will do because that's how I set it up. You want to Shift A, and then because you've added images planes, images planes, and then pick your references. So in my folders I have quite a few, so let's just say that one's a reference picture, and then press S and scale it. We're good. And then you can obviously switch over to render mode and see it, but you don't want that to be, you don't want to work in render mode. So what you can do is hit up in these bits, little arrow, click it, and texture, and now we can see the reference, which is super useful. So that's how I set up, and I basically, when I did it, I set up about 6 different references in front view and side view. So if I switch around, I'd have another bunch here. So just arrange them how you will, but because I built this about a week ago, I remember quite a bit. Right, so first up, let's get the rings. So Shift A, curve, a circle, and S to scale it. Okay, so bearing in mind that's 10 meters. That's a house size-ish, and we want lots of houses. So for the first ring, and of course this can all be changed. In fact, let's start at the top ring, which is probably, because you've got a great hall, probably about like that. So let's see how big I've made that. 284. Let's, I never do this. I never type in numbers. But it might be a good idea. So that's 300 meters. So that's the top ring. And then if you Shift D and Z to go shift it down the Z axis, if I remember my reference, you know what, Nick, just put the reference in. I'm going to put it in. I have this on my quick menu. If you want to add anything to your quick menu, what are you up to? I've lost myself. So if you Shift A, and you wanted to add Armature as a quick, right click it, add to quick favourites. I'd recommend doing it a lot. It does get confusing because it's not alphabeticized. Alphabeticized, I don't even think that's a word. Maybe Blender will fix that. But I have everything here, so I'll show you the first way to do it, and then I'm going to use my quick menu for speed. So images, planes, and I need to find Minas Tirith, and I'll just use my one. My damn one, that'll do. Scale it up, and then scale it up some more. And then I'm going to move it back on the y-axis by pressing GY, not that far. Yes, that's a good point. So because we're quite far, we're doing a big scene. The further out we go, we can't see anymore. And there's two things you need to do to stop that from happening. The viewport needs to change the view distance. So if you click on this one and press view, here we've got, it's already set to 1000, which is quite far. But because we've got quite a big scene, I'm going to set that to 8000. And you need to do the same thing on your camera, because if we zoom in with the camera and then we start zooming out, you'll note that eventually everything's gone. So, and by the way, if you didn't know I did that, shift and apostrophe, and then you can WSAD it, and shift makes it speed. It's like a first person shooter basically. If you've played Halo and Doom and all that, you know what's going on. So yeah, we can't get too far back from the camera unless we change. We've got clip start and clip end, and let's set that to the same as the viewport in the scene. So now if we zoom out with the camera, we can go reap far. E goes up, Q goes down, and we're probably going to want to go further than that. I mean, it's not important right now. So let's have a look at that reference. So the first one is not as far, so let's grab this. I'm going to GZ that, bring it up, and obviously if you press 7 you go into top view, which we're going to need to do, and then we're going to need to scale this. Not too much because we're not going to have a load of houses in there, excuse me, bearing in mind that's the size of one house. So that's ring 2, and then again shift D, move it down on the Z, and this one we can go a little bit further. Press 7 to go into top mode, press S to make it bigger, and that's 1, 2, 3, 5 I said, didn't I? 5. So shift D, Z, 7 to go into me top mode. Did I say 5? I said 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Okay, so and then we just do the last one, which is the gate, the wall. Alright, so that's the Minas Tirith levels set up. So now we need to do something with them, don't we? I think I'm gonna try and make these about 10 minutes each. We're on 8 minutes. That's cool. Alright, well I'll just show you. So with these, excuse me, what we need to do is turn them into something that we can skin. So we need it to be a mesh. So if you select, I think, can we do it all at the same time? Select all of them, see what happens. And then object, convert to, mesh from curved meta surf text. Press that. Did it work for all of them? It did. Okay, so we can do it at the same time. The reason I know it did is because now we've got points. Yeah, these are vertices and edges, edge loops. So all we need to do now is select the top one, click your modifier jobby, and then click skin like this. All right, and then you might as well do the same with the rest. So what you can do, I would recommend putting this in your quick menu. So I want to copy the modifiers from this, then this is a much quicker way of doing things, trust me. So I want to get this modifier on the rest of these, but I don't want to go through, click that, find the modifier, put it on, do the next one. There's a much quicker way. So if you first select the object you want to copy the modifier to, then shift select the thing that you're trying to copy from. So I'm shift selecting this that already has the modifier, and then if you go to select object, sorry, linked, where's linked? no, do apologize. Make links. There we go. So under Object, Make Links, you've got Materials and Modifiers. They're in my quick menu. So I would recommend right-clicking, Add to Quick Favorites, because this is the last time I'm going through this bit. It's all in my quick menu. Okay. So if we do that, and then so we've clicked that, shift-click what we want to copy from, and then we go to Make Links, Modifiers, there. So now we've done that, and then we can do the same here. So with that, shift click, Q for me, modifiers, Q, modifiers, and finally modifiers. Okay, so it looks like it's a wedding cake. It's a Minas Tirith wedding cake. It's beautiful. What are we on? 9 minutes. That's probably a good spot. 10 minutes. 11 minutes. Oh dear. We'll stop there. And then in the next one, we're going to edit the shapes of these so that they're not cake sections. So, yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.